Dearest Thalia and Melpomene, or whatever your names are, my future descendants, 100 years out in 2124. I'm recording this on November 5th, 2024, and it is the start of Election Day in America. I hope this artifact is more humorous than tragic, though. Ballots vary all across the country based on local and state issues, but each ballot includes deciding the next president of the United States of America. I'm recording this as a primary source for you to look back on what somebody was willing to commit to the morning of the election. A few months ago, it was supposed to be Joe Biden against Donald Trump, but a strong case was made that electing the oldest president ever was wrought with problems. So Joe Biden stepped down. He was replaced by his, as I'm recording this, Vice President Kamala Harris. Let me pause and give background on myself. I'm a white, cisgender male born in the outer suburbs, exurbs, if you will, of the most Midwest of Midwest states, Missouri, or Missouri, as we call it, and not quite 50. I'm part of what is referred to as Gen X. On paper, I'm certainly a Trump voter. Let's pause a bit more. Demographics aren't enough to explain a person. At age 10, my family moved us from the southeastern corner of the Kansas City, KC, metropolitan area to a smaller town named Moberly. While I was sad to leave friends behind, I started 5th grade at South Park and made new friends. Moberly was not a suburb, but a town all to itself, where I was allowed to bicycle anywhere I wanted to, and it was safe, even when Deron Wilson and I were yelled at for running out on the frozen lake. That was for our safety. I was less happy when, at the age of 13, our family moved once again. It was the summer of 1989. There was a time when I was younger that I wanted to be a pastor, but I certainly did not see myself as political until that move. That summer before 8th grade, I read more and started really following the news. There was so much outside my bicycle perimeter of the Moberly city limits, a whole world. That summer, the report of a hole in the ozone terrified me, but governments passed laws to fix it. Yes, there was a time when government saw real-world problems and responded prudently. In the fall of 1989, while I was a student in my first speech and debate class, the Berlin Wall fell. I was an environmental Republican. Yes, such people have existed. Would you like to know what else was going on in 1989? In New York City, 5 boys were convicted of raping a woman in Central Park. They were called the Central Park Five. I want to be clear that I do not believe I knew about this when I was 13, but the timing of all these perspectives will come together, I promise. Donald Trump was famous for New York real estate back then, and on May 1st, 1989, he posted a full-page ad in the Daily News calling to bring back the death penalty. He was leading the charge to prosecute these young thugs. Okay, now we can come back to 2024. Those thugs were not thugs at all. Luckily, the death penalty did not happen, and the court vacated the guilty verdicts in 2002, around the time this person, talking to you now, moved from Missouri to, okay, it's not the Kansas, it's Korea. I'm in Korea. Yes, the other side of the planet. I wanted to change and wanted to see the world. While I had become an educator just like my parents, I did not want to be known as Doug's boy, my father's son, professionally. Of course, I'm proud of my parents. They actually were the Humanitarians of the Year this year in Kansas City. I wanted to make my own way. So what have I picked up living in Korea for over 24 years? I see a government that works shockingly well while being told how wonderful America is. The crime rate here is lower than any state in the US. Mass transit, clean and punctual, and the people truly value education. To say I have shifted left from my younger years would be an understatement. But I also did not feed off of the entertainment industrial complex that was Rush Limbaugh, Fox News, the Sinclair Broadcast Group, and a conservative ecosystem built on fostering tribalism inside America. This group would not have won the Cold War. Their leader loves strongmen and the absence of democracy. Trump and his acolytes tried to use the fact that Kamala Harris was a prosecutor to convince young black men not to vote for her. Trump acts as though he was not the one calling for the death penalty of innocent young black men. Trump is a hypocrite. Trump referred to Haiti and African nations as blank whole countries. He buddied up to Red Scare Roy Cohn, and he was younger, when he was younger, to avoid having to let black people into his real estate. He's clearly triggered that he could lose to a black woman. After all, Trump's birtherism push against the first black president failed and made him so angry that he paid people to stand around an escalator so he could announce he was running for president 9 years ago. Yes, he paid people to stand there because those are the only people that would originally support him. But it's not just black people that Trump does not like. He really hates foreigners, referring to the non-white immigrants as rapists and vermin. And for those who say his actions were not or will not be as bad, his policies had kids in cages, separated kids from parents, and this is the guy the religious right supports because he is a family man. How many families has he ruined? For an anti-immigrant family man, he sure has an interesting habit of divorce and marrying immigrants. Trump knows three things: hate, grifting, and hypocrisy. When Newt Gingrich and the Republicans went after Bill Clinton for an inappropriate relationship he had while president, it backfired spectacularly. That same party now backs a man who has been accused of at least a couple dozen sexual assaults, well, at least the publicly reported ones that did not involve hush money. Trump happily hung out with the pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. He got caught on tape bragging about grabbing women by their genitalia, and the party of decency has no decency left at all. Just a no return policy on this lemon, this dud of a deal called Trumpism. What is the core issue that makes the decent party submit to his will? They got their Supreme Court to overturn the rights of people he truly disdains: women. I guess my mom raised me better, but a woman's body is her own. The fact that women have been dying since these abortion bans is yet another inconvenient truth in the conservative echo chamber. So today, in America, citizens will vote, and Trump already started his authoritarian playbook of saying that he will trust the election if he wins, and has started the legal proceedings to challenge the results in court. When Trump's former vice president, Pence, was in harm's way due to Trump's January 6th mob, Trump responded, "So what?" This is a man who buddies up to tyrants, rails against China, but his Trump Bibles were printed there. The hate, the grifting, and the hypocrisy need to come to an end. So what? Thalia and Malpamine, this is not really for you. This is for the silent majority that were thinking of voting for Trump, might still be thinking of voting for Trump for whatever their reasons, but can think about what they will tell their granddaughters someday when asked who they voted for and why. Now is the day that decision actually happens. Today, as I'm recording this, as I will post this, knowing I will post this. We choose a brighter path of that very distinct Kamala Harris laugh, or we elect a laughingstock who is not bright at all. I already voted by mail. As I said, I'm overseas, but I see it from here. It is almost the end of November 5th in Korea. I'm hopeful enough. Common sense will prevail. Choose hope, not hate. Donald Trump was right about one thing. We should not elect the oldest American president ever. You believed your eyes when you saw how age had gotten to Biden. Trump would be older than that at the end of his term, if elected. It was interesting to watch from afar here in Korea as more and more Americans said they were against the ever-expanding war on terror 2 decades ago, but few spoke at first. I will not repeat that mistake. For any risk and blowback associated, I am against Trump's war on women, war on diversity, war on democracy, war on decency. When I started this letter, the intent was to talk about two possible outcomes of the election and how one could break what America stands for. We can choose not to allow America to break. We know what's right and wrong. In this new landscape of Trump bros culture, if you know a bro who has not completely shut his ears and eyes to the fog of Trump's wars, share this. Yes, I'm real. Yes, I wish I said a bit of this sooner or a bit sooner, but I hope this can help open a few more to the truth that the long con of Donald Just Get Out Trump needs to be ended at the ballot box. How happy will I be if the decision is not even close and the groundswell of Harris support makes Trump's legal challenges as fake as everything else about him? I'll make Kamala's laugh my ringtone. And if he wins, let's not do that. We've had enough narcissism. End the Trump branding and commence the Trump banning. Roger that.